Someone said they did send out location. They did send locations out, question mark. So are you asking if they sent it out? Or are you saying, I'm not sure what you mean by with the question mark. So they didn't send it to me. I have information where you guys are going. Like they sent me information, but a lot of people shook their head in here, meaning it got sent out to you. I would assume through Gmail. That's where everything should go. So please check your emails. Okay, 7.2, multiplying and dividing rational expressions. Students always ask, why do we do multiplying and dividing before we do adding and subtracting? Well, easy way to say it is that multiplying and dividing is easier, okay? When you are multiplying and dividing just regular numbers, like if I was multiplying 1/2 and because it's rational, right? So we're dealing with fractions. If I was multiplying 1/2 and 2/3, is there anything fancy I have to do with it? No, okay, but if I'm adding 1/2 and 2/3, I have to do something to make sure that I can add them together, right? So multiplying and dividing is going to be an easier concept just because we don't have to make sure that there's a common denominator before doing anything, okay? So it does in fact mean that we still have to simplify our information with factoring, okay? So if you thought factoring was only in lesson 1, I'm so sorry, but it is not. It is in lesson 2 and 3 as well, okay? Which is also a great review before you take a state test, okay? Because I'm sure there's at least one factoring question. Yes, Brian. Yep. All right, so we're going to start with multiplying. And we're going to just start with the basic one. Start off. So we have 3/12 times 10/25. Okay, and we're going to treat this basic problem like we would the other problems, meaning we are going to discuss how to simplify it bit by bit. So it might be a little redundant on the first one, but you'll understand why once we do the other complicated ones, okay? So first one, we're looking at multiplying, okay? The first thing you should always think about is simplifying first, okay? I wouldn't bet on anyone would rather multiply to a larger number than having to simplify down, okay? It makes much more sense to simplify first so then you have less numbers and lower numbers to work with, okay? Now, does not matter how you look at it, but there's multiple ways you can simplify, okay? Now, looking at our first fraction, we have 3/12. Okay, what is common between 3 and 12? 3, okay? So if I take a factor of 3 away from 3, what's left of 3? If I take a factor of 3 away from 3, what am I left with? 1, yep, 3 divided by 3 is 1. What about 12? 4. It simplifies as 1/4. Okay, now let's look over at 10/25. Okay, how can each of these simplify? What factor do they have both in? What factor is in both, I should say? 5. Okay, so 10 divided by 5 is 2, and 25 divided by 5 is 5. Okay, is there anything else I can simplify before multiplying? I could still simplify one more thing before multiplying. So we simplified vertically. How else can you simplify? What? The 2 and 4. You can simplify diagonally, right? As long as one's in the top and one's in the bottom, you can simplify. So 2/4, what's common between 2 and 4? 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now everything is as simplified as it possibly could be, and then we'll go ahead and multiply. Now, when you multiply across, meaning top to top, bottom to bottom. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 5 is 10. And we result with an answer of 1/10. And so again, to show you the reason why we're doing this first one like this is to show you want to simplify everything as simplified as it possibly can be before multiplying, okay? The whole purpose is that it is a simplified expression, okay? If you're not simplifying all the way down before multiplying, you're going to make it more complicated. Let's try number 2. All right, 2x minus 4 divided by 15 times 6 divided by 2 minus x. 2x minus 4 divided by 15 times 6 divided by 2 minus x. Okay, now in this example, we're going to easing our way into it. Okay, we have some numbers and some expressions. So let's look at the first one, 2x minus 4. What can I do to simplify that expression? 2x minus 4. What can I do to simplify that expression? What? I don't want to divide by 2. We want to factor out the 2. Okay, right? So 2x minus 4, what would we do? We'd factor out a 2, take out a factor of 2, and leave with x minus 2. Okay, now our numbers, there's not really a way to simplify them other than simplify them with the other number. Let's just work on the expressions right now. Okay, 2 minus x. What can I do to simplify 2 minus x? What did we just do on number 11 from homework? Factor out the negative, right? So I could rewrite it as negative x plus 2, and I could factor out the negative. So I have negative times x minus 2. Now, my expressions are as simplified as they can be. So now I can go ahead with the process of simplifying from here. So let's look at the numbers first. 6 and 15, what do they have in common? 3. So if I take away a factor of 3 from 6, I left with 2, and take away a factor of 3 from 15, I'm left with 5. Okay, can any of the other numbers simplify past that point? We got 2, 2, 5, and a negative 1. Anything else simplify? Any numbers, can they simplify? Not a trick question, just a yes or no. No, there's nothing else I can simplify, right? 2 and 5 can't simplify, 2 and negative 1 can't simplify, and nothing across. Now, with my expressions, however, I do have x minus 2. So x minus 2 can simplify. And now that everything's as simplified as can be, and we simplified common factors, then I can multiply. So 2 times 2 gives me 4. And 5 times negative 1, the imaginary 1 there, would be negative 5. So typically, and we've kind of discussed this before, typically when you get a negative in the denominator, we normally just pull that negative up to the side, okay? Rather than saying 4 divided by negative 5, we would typically just say negative 4/5, okay? Because it means the same thing. 4 divided by negative 5 or negative 4 divided by positive 5 is still going to result in a negative 4/5. So that is our answer. Now, not every answer is going to simplify to a nice fraction, okay? Typically, you will have some expressions left in there. We're just working our way towards that. Okay, number 3. 9x plus 9 divided by 4x plus 8 times 2x plus 4 divided by 3x squared minus 3. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a minute head start just to see what you can start simplifying. Trying to simplify what we have. 9x plus 9 divided by 4x plus 8 times 2x plus 4 divided by 3x squared minus 3. Go ahead and work towards simplifying what you have. I'm gonna organize my papers. All right, let's go ahead and see what we got so far. So first one, how does that simplify? We got a factor of 9, we're left with x plus 1. Okay, I'm gonna start cold calling because I know it's a Monday and I know it's May, but we can still answer these questions. Come on, guys. All right, 4x plus 8, what can we factor out, or how can we factor? Okay, factor out of 4. Thank you. Appreciate virtually as well. We're left with x plus 2. Great. How about in the top of the second one? What can we do? Factor out of 2. Thank you. Again, virtually helping out. Okay, how about that bottom one? What? Factor out of 3, take out a factor of 3. Awesome. And we're left with x squared minus 1. Okay. Are all of these as factored as they could be? What do you say, no, Charlie? So I just mean is everything as simplified as it could be, not canceling anything out yet. Is everything as factored as it could be? Okay, so a couple people virtually are saying no. Is there anything else we're looking at that could be simplified further before going through the process of canceling out? Maybe look in the bottom. X squared minus 1. What type of factoring would that be? Who's going to get it? What type of factoring is x squared minus 1? How could we simplify that further? What? Not completing the square. Completing the square is solving for x, not factoring. There we go, virtually. Difference of squares. X squared minus 1 is difference of squares. How would we factor difference of squares? Levi, put it away, please. How do we factor difference of squares? What would that look like? Thank you. X plus 1, X minus 1. Right, but don't forget about the 3. The 3 is still there, okay? 3 is still there. Okay, now that everything is factored as much as humanly possible, now I can go through the process of starting to simplify. So go ahead and simplify as much as humanly possible to see what your final answer should be. Okay, again, you got to factor everything down as far as it can be. Okay. Got one answer in the chat, which is correct. Good job. Okay, leave it as simplified as possible. Don't multiply anything out. Good. So let's talk about what we should simplify. So the first things are pretty, you can go with numbers first, or you can go with expressions first. It honestly doesn't matter what you go through as far as you simplify everything you can. So put it away, please. All right, so we first can cancel, we have x plus 2 and x plus 2. We have x plus 1 and x plus 1. Okay, all those are simplified. Then let's look at the numbers. Okay, we got 9 and 3, which can both factor with 3. So we're left with 3 and we're left with 1. 2 and 4 can both simplify with 2. So the 2 becomes 1 and 4 becomes 2. So we're left with, I wrote too big, so I can't write it over there. 3 times 1, which is 3, and 2 times x minus 1. Now again, the point is to leave it as simplified as possible. So you would not multiply that 2 throughout it, you would leave it just as such. So 3 divided by 2 times x minus 1. Okay. I believe I said the statement last week, but everything from last week, as far as factoring and simplifying, the process I'm sure is not complicated for you or in confusing in any way. I think it's really just the factoring, okay, which is probably a really great skill to remind ourselves of, because factoring does not go away in math. It's relevant in almost everything you do. It's relevant in calculus and beyond. So, which obviously our junior and senior level classes get to calculus. They're just not called calculus. I guess I say obviously, you might not know that, but yes, your junior senior level classes will touch on calculus if you're taking the IB track. Okay, let's look at number 4, class multiplying question. 2a cubed minus 16 divided by 6a squared plus 6a minus 36 times 9a plus 18 divided by 3a squared plus 6a plus 12. Okay, go ahead and start trying to factor that one out. Again, you have to remember your factoring skills. If you're struggling with those factoring skills, we said last week they were in unit 2.4, 2.5. I don't have it on my mind. Okay, we're talking about GCF, grouping, easy trinomials, difficult, or the a is greater than 1 trinomials, difference of squares, difference of cubes, sum of cubes. all things that are very relevant. We cannot forget our factoring skills. It's a major concept in algebra that you got to remember. Now, I can't guarantee it'll be on the state test, but I'm pretty sure every year there's always at least one type of factoring question. I know on the ACT, there's definitely at least a factoring question, if not more. So please, please, please focus on those factoring skills. And if you're struggling, look back at previous notes, which I'm trying to find right now. I'm pretty sure it's 2-4. Yeah, I think it starts at 2-4. Nope. 2-6 starts at 2-6. 2-6, 2-7, and 2-8. Okay. Just gave up. Sorry, there's still pegs on that thing. Okay, if you're struggling with how to factor something, raise your hand or put it in the chat and say, hey, I still don't understand how I can get this further, or am I supposed to be doing this type of factoring on this? Okay. Please don't just put, I don't know. Please ask a question or tell me what you do know. Okay. I'm happy to help, but you got to help yourself as well. Okay. I'll give you a hint. You will be doing GCF, easy factoring, or A is one factoring, and one type of a sum or difference of, or some difference of cubes or squares. Sure, you can figure that one out pretty quickly. With difference of cubes of factoring. No. Awesome. I'll just leave this in my pile and I'll get to it in just a sec. Okay, let's start talking about what we got or what we should be doing. So first we have the top left, which is 2a, or sorry, 2a cubed minus 16. What type of factoring can we first start with? GCF of 2. We have 2 times a cubed minus 8. Okay, can this be factored further? Hint, hint, it can be. Question is, do you remember your pattern? Okay, so remember this pattern is based on the cube root of both of these numbers. So the cube root of a cubed is a, and the cube root of 8 is, class said confidently, 2. Okay, so therefore the pattern goes, does anyone remember offhand, hopefully? What do we do first? What do we do first to factor difference of cubes? A minus b, thank you. So it'd be a minus 2. And then the second part of the pattern. This is fun. Second part of the pattern is AB is part of it, but it's not the first part. What's the first part? Close. Oh, there we go. We got some virtual kidzos helping me out. Thank you. Should be a squared. Okay, and then plus a, sorry, plus a times b, which would be 2a. Okay, and always positive 2 squared, which would be plus 4. Okay, let's look at the bottom. Okay, 6a squared plus 6a minus 36. What can we take out? A 6. Okay, then we're left with a squared plus a minus 6. What can we do with that? How does that factor? Yep, and I believe that's the same one from number 11, actually, just different variables. Good. Okay, multiplied 9a plus 18. This one's an easy one. What do we take out of this one? 9. Okay, nothing else can simplify from that. Okay, how about the bottom? 3a squared plus 6a plus 12. What can we take out? A 3, right? So we need factors of 4 that add to 2. Can this factor further? Are there factors of 4 that add to 2? No, so this means this cannot factor further. So this would be a type of situation that if I wanted to solve for a, I would have to complete the square or do anything like that. But we are only factoring in this scenario. So there's nothing else I can do to that. Okay, now we're going to look at what we have left. If you are confused by how it's left here, I can rewrite it just to make it a little simpler on the I. Not necessarily required, but it might make it a little easier to see what we're left with. Okay, simplify from here. If you haven't already, simplify from here. Let me move this up. Okay, like I've said it before and I'll say it again, your factoring skills need to improve, or your participation, because we're getting lots of blank stares. And I'm not sure if it's a Monday or if it's because it's May or if it's because we don't know how to factor, but factoring will literally be the entire purpose of this lesson. Okay, so if you're struggling with factoring, go back to that lesson 2.6, 7, and 8. If you can't find the notes on this, go find it back in Google Classroom. Or feel free to Khan Academy. All right. What do we think the final answer should be once we simplify everything? What do we believe the final answer should be? Good. A plus 2 divided by A plus 3. Let's show how that works out. So A minus 2 cancels out. Our trinomial simplifies out. 9 divided by 3 becomes 3 over 1. 2, 6 becomes 1/3. 3 divided by 3 becomes 1. So all we're left with is A plus 2 divided by A plus 3. Whole thing simplifies to A plus 2 divided by A plus 3. Let's move on. I'll give you a little bit longer. I see a couple people still writing here, so I'm going to hold it here a little longer. Okay. Dividing. Okay, we're going to start with basic problem to show how we are going to proceed with this. Okay, so we have 1/5 divided by 4/20. Okay. What must we do before we can start the process of simplifying? Do we ever divide fractions? No. What do we do instead? We multiply by the reciprocal. Okay. So what does that mean when we multiply by the reciprocal? Does the first one change? Nope. 1/5 stays the same. Instead of dividing, we're multiplying. And the reciprocal of 4/20 would be 24. Okay, please use the word reciprocal. Please do not use the word flip. Okay, fractions reciprocate, they do not flip. Dolphins flip, fractions reciprocate, okay? Remember, algebra 2 concepts, use your vocab, please and thank you, okay? If you've had my class before, you've probably heard me say that phrase before because you are in high school, you should not be saying flip anymore, okay? So from here, does this look like a dividing problem anymore? No, right? It changed into a multiplying problem. So then would we just continue our skills that we just learned? Yes. So the only difference between multiplying and dividing is you first have to change it into a multiplying by the reciprocal situation, and then the rest of the skills are the same. Okay. So in this scenario, we have 20 and 5 that can simplify by 5. And then we have 4 and 4 that simplify 5, 4. This whole thing simplifies to 1. Okay. But again, that's just kind of to help get you started. Okay, I know you might be upset, but there are no simple simple problems like that on the homework. It was all expression-based problems. All right, let's try number 6. A plus B divided by AB divided by A squared minus B squared divided by 4A cubed B. Again, that is A plus B divided by AB, whole thing divided by A squared minus B squared divided by 4A cubed times B. So first thing we're going to do is multiply by their reciprocal. The first one stays the same, and the second one reciprocates. Once we do that, it should look like a typical multiplying problem, and we should simplify. What? 2 more problems. You need help?
No.
So we should all be working towards simplifying this one right now. Doing our factoring skills, practicing, reviewing of some sort. We're not sure how to factor, we're looking up our notes, asking questions. If you do not know how to factor, you need to practice your skills. It's not going to go away. Okay, we got to do some kind of practicing. Oh, good. Already got an answer in the chat, which is correct. Way to go. So far, 2 answers in the chat. So let's see what we got. So looking at the first fraction, is there anything I can simplify in the numerator? Yes or no? No. Anything in the denominator I can simplify by factoring? Yes or no? No. Anything in the top right that I can simplify by factoring? No. Okay, and the thing in the bottom I can factor by simplifying or simplify by factoring. Yes, okay, we should have A squared minus B squared. What type of factoring is that? Difference of squares. So we would be left with so that would factor to thank you. A plus B, A minus B. Okay, now that everything is factored as much as possible, then we go through the process of simplifying. Okay, so expression wise, we have A plus B and A plus B. Okay, Okay, A minus B, there's nothing to simplify with. Can I simplify the other parts? Can I simplify? Yes. Okay, yes. You could always simplify if the numbers are being multiplied to each other, okay? So A times B, those are separate parts. 4A cubed times B, all separate parts, okay? So if I if I simplify, okay, what can simplify among the A's? What would happen to the top A? A cubed would become A squared, which would simplify with the A in the denominator. And then the B, we got a B on the top and the B on the bottom. So we should be left with 4A squared divided by A minus B. Hopefully our factoring is getting a little bit easier. We're feeling a little bit more confident about this. Okay, this is the last question for today. Okay, it's kind of at this point, if you're not sure how to factor, you gotta practice it and you gotta look it up. Okay, because that's really 90% of the lesson. Okay, so I'm gonna leave you with this last one. No help, no setup, just see what you got. So each student is responsible for sharing their own answer. Okay, if you're virtually, you must type it in. If you're in person, you can raise your hand or you can head over to my desk and show me what you get. Every single person needs to show what, oops, sorry, zoomed in, that works. So we got A squared minus 6x minus 16 divided by 2x squared minus 128. And that fraction is divided by x squared plus 10x plus 16 divided by x squared plus 16x plus 64. This will require you to factor all the parts before simplifying. What was 6 answer? 4a squared divided by a minus b. Okay, good luck on number 7. You're going to do great. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to set up the assignment to post on Google Classroom. Yes, so I divided the A's and B's. So because the A's and B's don't have a plus or minus symbol in between them, that just means you can simplify as they are, because as long as they're being multiplied, you can simplify them as they are. If they're adding or subtracting, you have to make sure they match completely. So think about like A cubed, you could think of it as A times A times A. That's why you could cancel out the A on top and bottom. Okay, does that make sense? Good. Again, when you are prepared to share your answer, you can raise your hand, you can come up to my desk, or you can type it virtually. What's this? Again, every single person should be submitting an answer to me. Also seeing if you're still with us and paying attention. You're forgetting something. It's written, but it's not written in your answer. Yeah, that two should be incorporated. Yep. Keep working towards that goal. If you're confused, let me know. I'm happy to help. Can't help if you don't try, though. I've now messaged every single person in the chat individually. If you're not responding, I will be marking you absent here soon. I haven't heard from you all through class unless you're responding to me now. Yeah, sorry, I was just about to text you, sorry.
The points were like really small.
Yeah, they're going to be with the fourth.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and I didn't have to absolutely value that one of the 4 and 5, but I made it longer.
That's fine. So you took out a factor of x, you're left with 4 squared, that's 9. Yeah, and then it becomes 2x plus 3 took minus 3. So when you're factoring, make sure that you factor each step. Okay, so if you're gonna do from there to there, then right above this that you took out the factor for. Okay. Or a factor of x, I mean. Here we go. Let's see what you have so far. What have you Okay, so if you have not been responding to my messages or have not tried to give me any information virtually, I have marked you absent. If you do not want to be marked absent, then please respond to my question and give me some information. I'm gonna go check on my in-person kiddos that are left, and I will show the answer to number 7 in momentarily. Okay, let's talk about how we should do number 7. So we got factoring on everything. So we're gonna start with the first one, x squared minus 6x minus 16. Okay, it's just a basic factoring. We're looking for factors of negative 16 that add to negative 6. So thinking about my factors of 16, 1 and 16, not gonna work. 2 and 8, 2 and 8 could get me 6, just depends on how I have 2 and 8, either positive or negative. So we want a negative 16, so one of these has to be negative, and I want to end with a negative 6. That means I want negative 8 and positive 2. Then we look in the denominator. Okay, we have 2x squared minus 128. So there's a factor of 2 on both of those. So I take out a 2. Oh, sorry. Which gives me x squared minus 64. Right? X squared minus 64 is difference of squares. So that means that we would be simplifying this even further to x plus 8, x minus 8. And the 2 stays on the outside. Sorry, 2 times x plus 8 minus times x minus 8. Okay, then we're going to multiply. I'm going to multiply and reciprocate at the same time. So looking at x squared plus 16 plus 64. Okay, factors of 64 that add to 16. Okay, the most common factor of 64 is 8 times 8, which added together would get me 16. So that works out nicely. Then we look at factors of 16 that add to 10. Factors of 16, 1 and 16. Nope. 2 and 8. Yep, that could work. That could get me to 10, depending on how my factors look. So we need positive and positive, so that means it'd be positive 8 and positive 2. So when we start simplifying, we get x minus 8, x plus 2, x plus 8, x plus 8. All the expressions are gone. In the numerator, I should be left with a value of 1. In the denominator, I'm left with a value of 2. This whole thing simplifies to 1/2. Okay. I didn't even check, but they didn't say anything. It was very quiet. Sorry. I didn't hear any loud noises to be concerned of. They use their phones. All right, so that is it for number 7. That is it for you. If you were in person, come grab a worksheet. And if you were virtual, the assignment has already been posted. Remember, Wednesday is odd, but you should not be logging on because you will be going to state testing in the building and some room, okay? I will go ahead and find that link and post it in the classroom link or Google Classroom once I find the correct link to your guys' locations versus like the teacher's locations. And then Thursday, this assignment will be due. And on Thursday, I also have some students making up tests. Please be prepared for said tests if you're making up tests. All right, so that is it for today. Have a great day, and I will see you guys Thursday, not Wednesday. Oh, if you have the link, feel free to send it to me and I will post it.